Morning, everybody. Another Thursday. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host for the next 2 hours. First hour is the Dawn Patrol. We go from now until a little bit before 7, and then we have City Life that goes when we come back from a short break, or no break as the case may be, sometimes, until just before 8 o'clock in the morning. And Sam Chase is here with me this morning. He has some other things after this, so he'll be leaving around 7:40. And we have Glenn.
6:40.
6:40. Sorry about that. Told you. I'm a little sleep deprived, but I can't share why. Specifically, anyway.
Don't bring it up.
Right.
We had an emergency.
Exactly.
I can say this much. We had
You
an
remind
emergency.
me of the Channel 5 grill. I'll tell you about the weather later.
How much later?
Stupid woman she is. I'll tell you about the weather later.
Oh, I don't know. I like all the Channel 5 weather women.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
there's only two of them.
She drives me right up a wall. Oops, I forgot to put the 7-day forecast up. Ooh.
Well, yeah, I know. What is she getting paid for? No, we had an emergency at the other house, and I had to drive there and then drive back. I get back about 12:15. But the emergency was solved, and I did get a few hours of sleep.
Well, that's good.
It didn't rain, so I didn't hear any noise, but there's some kind of construction or something going, because all I can hear is backup, when it goes beep, 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 beep. So there's some kind of construction, and there was construction along 495 at night. During the day, usually that. So
It's the
coming
time to
back,
do it, if
yep.
you can. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they backed it way up. On the way north, on the way south, there was no backup, and the construction, the way they have designed it, is in the Lowell stretch of 495. But on the north side, it's before you get to the Tewksbury exit, the 133, the Andover Tewksbury exit. So in case anybody wanted to know, and if you're going further north than that, there is construction along the way, so you want to make sure that you plan accordingly.
Only after dark. Only after dark.
Yes, but there are some places when I've gone up during the day and come back, they're working on stuff.
I'll tell you what and I don't really want to be that critical, but it just seems that
They're always working on something.
it just seems to me that, when I was younger, and I'm not talking, in my 20s and 30s even, when they did a construction project, it didn't take anywhere near as long as it takes today. I mean, maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but I think I am. And I'm wondering if it's because of all the environmental stuff that they have to be concerned about. I mean, when I was a kid, nobody cared, some species, who cares, dig the hole, get the thing done, goodbye. But today, of course, you have to go through all the
Right, but we're
processes.
talking about the fact that they're working on roads.
They work on roads, but now I'm talking about, for example, the bridge on Westford Street in Chelmsford I mean,
It took 2 years to do the one on Pine Hill.
I'm telling you, if this were 50 years ago, that would have been done in 6 months.
So let's look at it this way.
It would have been done in 6 months.
Instead of bringing the environmental
Yeah.
thing and look to the prevailing wage. Because of the prevailing wage in Massachusetts, why would they be hurrying up to go to another job when they're getting paid more than adequately for the job they're doing?
Well, it doesn't matter. They're going to get the prevailing wage no matter where they go, because
I'm
that's...
talking about 50 years ago, they didn't
Oh,
have
50
that.
years ago, you're right.
So you're asking to
You're
compare
right.
50 to
That-
today.
That's a good point.
So
Yeah.
as far, when you're in business, you want to have as much business
Correct.
as you can. You want to do it as efficiently as you
For
can.
the stupid
Yeah.
audience,
Mhm.
what's prevailing wage?
How much is it now, do you know?
It's, you
No,
mean...
no, what,
No,
you
he
use a
wants
term
to-
like
he wants-
prevailing jet fuel.
Yeah, he wants us to explain
What's
what it is.
prevailing wage?
Okay, so prevailing wage means it's basically a minimum wage for union construction jobs. So if you are bidding a public project that is subject to, you can't pay the workers less than a specified amount, which is the minimum prevailing wage. Okay, so it's like a minimum wage. And that, back in the old days when you didn't have those restrictions, and not everybody was unionized, in the trades and so forth, it was more competitive. But I don't know how much that contributes to construction delay, though. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it, because I don't really
Sam,
know
the big-
enough about it, right?
But if you brought it up, then part of
Yeah.
the comparison
Very
might be
bluntly,
that.
the comparison's going to be, and it's going to grow, once the Lowell Sun decides to get up on their high horse and complain about it. Look at the Hampton Beach Bridge. It's just as long as the Rourke Bridge. It started last fall. It'll be done this fall.
Yeah,
Yeah, but-
that's
And the
we
Rourke
notice-
Bridge
that
has been
seems pretty reasonable
been
to
coming
me.
along since we put since Moses was here. It's been coming along for 30 years. The Rourke Bridge.
Yeah, more than that.
Massachusetts is terrible at construction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
noticed that difference because of how much now we're traveling in
Even in
New
the road,
Hampshire.
just the roads, the quality. quality of the roads is
Well,
better in
it
New
depends,
Hampshire.
I will say though, in New Hampshire, it depends on the county. So we pass through quite a number of counties, but as far as back roads go, most of the highway part, the routes that are labeled, are good.
They're state roads.
Yes.
Right.
The back roads, it depends on the county.
Right, right.
Because you can be rolling along really nice and all of a sudden you're hitting pothole after pothole after pothole, and you notice on the side, there's the sign that says whatever the county is on this side, the county on this side. So we have noticed that simply because of how much we've traveled on back roads or side roads
Yeah, no, that's true.
in that state.
That's true.
Now, as far as Massachusetts goes, it depends again on the municipality, because the DPW in each one of the cities and or towns is the ones responsible for those side roads that everybody seems to complain about. The highway, that's the state.
But the state does fund the local roads
But they
partially,
don't, isn't that through 90, chapter 90?
Correct.
But
Right.
again, if you are in a suburb that they determine the ability to pay,
Right.
then, and that's where when you start talking about, the millionaires and billionaires and paying their fair share and all of the other BS that goes along with that, well, you're more, according to the state, their definition, that if you are a more affluent community, then you don't need as much money from the state. Generally speaking, that's true.
Yes.
However, all cities and towns struggle, and it's the big cities that seem to have the black hole where the money goes in and you're never quite sure where it's all going from the state.
Because we don't audit.
That's true, and they should audit, and that's another whole topic. So when Glenn comes in, I figured we could talk about the gas prices because of what's going on in the Middle East, and we can certainly talk about the SAVE Act. This is after 7 o'clock, if people are, the reflecting pool, or anything, as I would say, all things DC. And then the Postmaster General made a thing about the mail-in ballots. Whatever state decides to do what they need to do, he'll follow whatever the rulings are. So one of the things we always talk,
What other choice does he have?
he doesn't.
That's the law.
But the governors and the Senate, all the Democrats don't particularly like that. And then we'll talk about what the elections lately, and the fact that the Democratic Socialists really are communists, if you take a look at the definitions, and why anybody would want to try to tax their way to the bottom is, and work their way to the bottom is beyond
I'd like
me.
to say something about that, because what I'm seeing in the news now, and one of the benefits of being older is having lived through the history, okay? And what I'm seeing now is all of the talking heads are talking about this massive shift in the Democratic Party, and how historically the the people who call themselves Democrats are more centrist and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let me tell you something, folks. That's a bunch of as Joe Biden would have said, that's a bunch of malarkey, okay? Because the reality is that the active politicians, I'm not talking about, Mr. Middle America Democrat. I'm talking about the people who are active in the national and state politics. The truth is that those Democrats have always been socialists. They've always been socialists. They've always had that ideology, but they have tempered it to be so that they can get elected, okay? That's always been the case. So the phenomenon that you're seeing now is not that all of a sudden people are turning socialists. What you're seeing now is all of a sudden they're coming out of the closet and they're telling you how they feel, okay? Because what they're seeing now is, whereas 50 years ago, don't even go back 50 years. Go back to 2016 when they were talking about Bernie Sanders running as a Democrat, and the Democrats squashed it 10 years ago. Why? Because they said Americans won't vote for a socialist.
Well, they say they're not
Okay?
ready, but
That's what they said. Now, what's happened is, in certain pockets of the country, like New York City, we're getting real socialists elected. So now what they're saying is, oh, wait a minute, we if we're socialists, we can be elected, so we might as well come clean and be honest and tell people who we are. And quite frankly, and of course people are alarmed about that, but quite frankly, that's better. I would rather know who these people are.
Oh,
Rather
what
than have them pretend to be centrists
like what happened in
and
New
moderates,
Jersey and
but
Virginia?
they're really leftists. Okay, that I would rather know. I always said I never agreed with Sanders, but I always gave him high marks for not trying to hide who he was. And I still give him high marks for that, because 30 years ago Bernie was standing up there. I'm a socialist. Great. Now we know. People who are socialists can vote for you because that's what they want. People who don't like socialists are not going to vote for you. I don't have to sit there and figure out whether you're really in the middle or you're here or you're there, because you've told me. Good for you. And I wish more politicians would be honest. And the same goes true for people on the hard right. Okay, it's no different. It's just a different perspective.
Sam, you've been around politics just as long as I have.
Yep.
Have you ever heard administration talking to each other and say, what do you want to tell them?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The fact is, the well's poisoned, the town's going to die.
Happens all the time.
And the administration will say, what do you want to tell the citizens?
Yep.
Lion goes on today.
All the time. Yep.
Well, it does.
It does.
And
You're
it
right.
does regardless of party.
Yeah.
But there is a certain amount of deceptions as far as the platforms.
Now they go with, it's even better. They use this thing called AI. I want to tell people that they're going to die, but let's tell them in a deceptive manner. And AI will just give you this paragraph that thinks that, you know what? It's a good day to go out and look at the butterflies.
Well, I mean, right now, we're lucky in one regard, is that a lot of the AI is so crude that when you see it, you recognize it as AI. What I'm nervous about, as that technology improves and gets better, it's going to be a lot harder to figure out whether it's AI or it isn't.
Right.
Well,
and
on that point, you realize that right this instant, AI is improving. When you're sleeping
Of course it
tonight,
is.
AI is improving. 4th of
Everything-
July,
everything-
AI is improving all day.
The natural progression of things is to improve.
I interrupted Evelyn, sorry.
Absolutely, that's right.
Right. Well, AI is another whole discussion, which is, for me, it's absolutely fascinating.
part of the deal today.
Well, and it can improve on its own. That's the problem. We've all seen, what was it, the movie I, Robot, and there's a few other ones that's out there where AI basically takes over. And there's only certain ways you can get rid of it because it becomes the factor.
Right, but what we have to understand is that AI has to start with a factual basis. And what the AI I engage with is, it's obvious to me that what it does is it pulls information from various sources. Now, some of those sources may be accurate and some may not be accurate.
Well, yeah, that's like Wikipedia.
Okay, and I mean, I don't like it when I'm on my classic car feed and it's AI and they throw up a picture of a 56 Ford and tell me it's a 58 DeSoto. And it happens all the time. And if you're 30 years old, you don't know any better. I know because I remember 56 Fords and 58 DeSotos.
So when I ask Google a question, all right, I get an AI answer.
Yes.
So you have to be very
and it tells you it's AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on the Google feed, there's a number of the articles. It says AI generated, there may be mistakes.
Yes.
So it qualifies itself.
Good.
But any AI that you can have either opinions, or positions, whatever it might be, as we get further into the technology, is dependent upon whoever programmed it.
That's what I'm saying.
So-
Garbage in, garbage out.
Well, it depends on the individual. I
Right.
mean, if you have a highly moral integrity and the whole 9 yards going forward, then whatever that person produces in their software for AI will reflect the personality of the person that created it. But in general, that's not happening because there's a lot of stuff with AI where you can go online and you can get advice on if you have emotional situations or physical situations, and a lot of times it is not good to do that. As someone who, in the past, has always voted for both Democrats and Republicans, I would describe my philosophy and ideology as being a humanist.
I like that. That's good. Good.
I call myself an American. I vote for the best American.
Well, that's where I'm at. And I have been that way like forever. I just don't vote for somebody because somebody else tells me to.
But
That's
how
first of
often
all.
have you voted for the lesser of two evils? I think we've all done that.
Well, the media falls down
Oh, yeah,
by.
that's why I vote in a Democratic primary in Massachusetts, because there's no Republicans.
You got to nail these politicians down when they're running for office. Madam Representative, if you don't perform this task within 12 months, will you resign? That's what you hit them right with her. I promise no taxes, no taxes.
And if but
we'll have another election.
But you'll never get an answer.
You have to ask them
Right.
during the debates.
So do you think that as a result of, we only have so much time
Go
here,
ahead.
do you think that we, as a result of how the communists are running things and getting elected, do you think that in all of those big democratic cities that eventually they'll have less and less individuals, businesses, whatever,
Of course.
that live there? They go to red states.
Of course.
And then the
It's
blue
happening
state-
now.
Well, that's what's happening in New York. And I find it very revealing, and also I'm very surprised that anybody that's in New York City that is Jewish would vote for a communist, because, especially when they start talking about free Palestine, because...
They're buying Mercedes-Benz. Those are the people who slaughtered the Jews.
Well, that, I'm not talking about
Well,
that. I'm talking
That's
about
not-
the...
not some- the
people
Jewish
currently.
people are not true to themselves.
that's been
You
their
know,
weakness all along.
everybody has their own perspective on why they do things. But the first question, and I don't know because I haven't spent any time looking at it. You know, I've listened to the news reports over the last couple of days about the results of the local elections in New York, and actually there's a couple of congressional seats involved there. But now you've got these people who, as I said before, are being honest about who they are. They're telling you, I am a democratic socialist. That's what I am, and this is what I believe. My first question is, what percentage of the voters actually voted in those races? So we have a Democratic primary. How many people voted in the Democratic Party in New York City as a percentage of total people who are eligible to vote? And I'm going to guess it was probably a low number,
I don't know, I can
a low
ask.
percentage. Okay, so you know, if you're a Democrat and you don't like the Democratic Socialist and you stayed home and you didn't vote for the incumbent, quote unquote, moderate Democrat, then you know what? Shut up. You didn't vote, okay? I mean, this is what happens.
Well,
So,
Sam, we complain about the rain and we didn't cause it, so it's just the American way. We're going to bitch and
It's a
moan
little
whether we
different.
participated in creating
oh, I
the
get
rain or
it. No,
not.
people are always going to complain, but you know, we had an election recently in Chelmsford that was decided by one vote. So now, after that experience, I don't want to hear that your vote doesn't count, okay? One vote decided the election. So yes, your vote does count. So if
Well, when you talk
if you don't like the answer, go out and vote, okay?
Well, how about the audit? What do you have to say about the audit we're not going to get?
What is there to say? I mean,
Well, go out and
It-
vote, and what happens?
yeah,
Let's say, for instance, the Speaker of the House doesn't like it when Vanna Howell loses in the fall.
okay,
Hey, I don't like that vote.
all right.
I'm not going to accept it. I'm keeping Vanna.
I get it, but let me go back to
That's
what
going to happen.
your question is. You voted for the audit because it was a ballot question, but if you voted for the audit, you say, I'm a voter, and that was a ballot question, and I want the audit, so I went in and I voted for that. And now, next year, my state representative, who doesn't support the audit, is up for re-election. Am I going to vote for that person?
No, because the Speaker has to.
Well, most people are.
The
Most
speaker
people
has.
are.
You don't understand, Sam.
Oh, I do understand.
The Speaker is going to decide if Vanna Howard's going to keep her seat or not.
It
That's
doesn't
what
have
this
the
has
answer
turned
to that.
into. The Speaker's deciding we're not going to have an audit. The people want an audit, Mr. Speaker.
I get it.
I don't care. I'm in charge here.
How many people who voted for the audit?
String 'em up.
How many people who voted for the audit are going to continue to vote for those legislators that don't support the audit? And the answer is most of them, okay? That's the problem. You've got to vote for people, for the state legislature, who are different and who will support an audit. That's the answer. And people don't make that connection, okay? Let's say, and I don't know what he did, but let's say Simon Cataldo opposes the audit. Well, I'm a Cataldo supporter. Now, if that audit is important to me, you know what? I'm not going to vote for Simon next
see,
time.
well,
I'm
just-
going to
you just
vote
put
for
a little
him. I'm going to
caveat. No,
vote
no,
for
there's
his
nobody
opponent.
You
running
just
against
changed your answer, Sam. You're going to vote for this guy no matter what he does.
No, I'm
No,
not.
he
I
just said
just
that.
I just said I'm not going to vote for it.
Good.
All right. But I'm trying to explain to you that that's the answer. The voter controls. Just because I voted for the
Sam.
audit and it doesn't happen, it doesn't end there. The end is you get new
Sam,
people in the
the
legislature.
State House is breaking the doggone law.
I get it, but get
And
new
the state
people.
police are just looking the other way.
But get
the
people
FBI is
in
looking
there.
the other way.
Get people in. Vote for new people.
Hey, if you have a kiddo that's graduating from high school, today's Little Sun has a fabulous section about all the schools that are graduating today. All the kiddos' names are in there. Good
Graduating,
stuff.
isn't it kind of late for graduation?
So if
No, they're listing who they
Oh,
are.
it's already happened. All right,
so
I
if
get
your
it.
kiddo graduated, today's the day to pick up the Sun and
Mhm.
you can give it to them
Yeah.
on their wedding day or something. But good job by the Sun putting the kiddos' names in.
I think
Well,
don't
what-
they always do that?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
usually. So one of the things you asked was about the, how many votes there were, but I
Yeah.
can't find an article because in.
They're not
on
gonna tell
Google-
you.
Well, it did tell me how many early voting there was.
I don't care. I want to know what the total percentage.
And then they anticipated that even the early voting was low, but at the last minute, 50,000 votes comes in. So that wasn't one of the things that I thought was interesting. I'm going to re-share something, Sam,
bet
so
it-
you can put it up.
I'll bet it was less than 20%.
And then, and Glenn and I can talk about that when he gets here. But there was something that I had, let me see if I can find this. Because there's a bunch of stuff that's on Facebook that I find interesting, to say the least, but I don't know if I have that here. No,
Well,
I do
Evelyn, you
not.
had put up that this guy, Mike Wankum's going to retire.
That was me. I put that up.
Oh, you put that up, Sam? And I found it interesting that the guy from 25 who just, Lebanowitz or something like, I think it's Kevin Lebanowitz, just retired from 25. They tell me he's going to replace Wampum.
Oh, really? How old a fellow was he?
I think he was too early.
The replacement.
I don't know. I don't.
Wankum's in his 60s.
Well, I'm going to guess they wouldn't give Wankum a contract. That's why I'm going to guess he's retiring.
Who knows? I mean,
You
he's
never know the real story, but
But
I mean,
he's. My point is, he is retirement age. So I mean, it's not unexpected.
It's not coming up what I want.
good guy. I always enjoyed his infotainment.
Well,
Things on-
the other thing, I mean, if you want to speculate in that area, you could also speculate that Mike Wankum had the seniority, but they gave the chief meteorologist job to Cindy Fitzgibbon, but Mike had the seniority, so you could speculate that way too.
Yeah, they want women.
Well, she's qualified. I don't have a problem with that.
She's better eye candy.
That's what I was going to say.
TV's eye candy.
I think she's a good. I think the Channel 5 weather team. I think they are the best meteorologists in the Boston area. They have the best, most accurate weather, in my opinion.
Really? Well, what you can do, Sam, is record Monday's weather forecast and play it back on Friday and see how good they did.
Yeah. I think Channel 5
I
is.
had some of this stuff
I
earlier.
call.
when
I
went
don't
through.
depend. I'll give them today, but not tomorrow.
Well, I think they have better results
Better
than
as
the
a
other
visual.
channels do.
Well, thank God for my little weather app on my phone. I have radar all the time. I
Yeah.
know where the rainstorms
Oh,
are.
the radar is great.
Oh, yeah, I
It
love-
tells you
love all
exactly
that.
what's happening.
Well, I sent stuff about the long-range forecast, or short range as the case may be, which I figured that, and when you leave, we can talk about the weather, because it's something that's interesting. But I was looking for a reel that was on Facebook, because it's better to have a visual than to try to have me explain it. So I can't find it, which I'm not overly thrilled. All right. But the gist of it was how many in mail-in ballots, states, in elections, how many of them break towards Republicans at the end?
Almost none.
And the answer is almost none.
Sam, you need the mic a little closer to yourself, please.
Yeah, let's see them.
Well, the thing I get a kick out of also is California is still counting votes, and it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Last week we had Dr. Jay Lang on, and we talked about the graduation requirements. They've finalized what they are, so there's a lot of information out there. You've had 2 graduating classes that did not have those specific test sites and the whole 9 yards, and it seems as though they're just focused on high school currently.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah, well, I'm going to change the subject
Okay,
anyway.
just to follow up. Mike Wonkum is 66 years old, so he's well into the retirement age bracket, okay? Just so that people know. That.
Enjoying his Social Security.
He was born in 1960. Just a kid.
I don't know if I had sent you guys, you didn't have time to read it this morning. I did get up at the correct time, even though I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this.
You didn't even hit snooze?
Oh, I wouldn't do that. So there was an article that I had. I don't know if we're going to talk about it with Glenn. He may not. I never sent him the article. But that's not it. It had to. By the way, Drake voters rejected their school.
Oh, really?
Yep, by 100 votes.
Oh, wow.
Sound familiar?
Yeah. Again, was it high turnout, or do we know?
I don't know. Let me
Well,
see.
when Tommy Bomo comes in, our official Draketeer,
He can
I'm
tell.
going to tell him, look, the town's going to keep putting that on the ballot until they get their school.
And it's going to get more expensive every time they do it.
And
Yeah.
like the firehouse in Chelmsford, once they got the firehouse, they didn't put it on the ballot anymore. Why didn't they?
Well, because
Because the town got their way.
well, that's like, if I get elected, am I going to run the next year against somebody else to get elected again?
Well, out in Drake, public access TV channel is the domination in the news. You look at the views my friend John Zimmerman gets. He gets like 100,000 views on watch his TV show on Facebook. Fantastic views. And so the Draketeers pay attention, and they love their politics.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. If they vote down the school project, then they will live with what they have. They've made their choice. I'm not going to sit there and tell them they're stupid or anything. That's what they want. They got what they want. So
In
right?
the article in the Lowell Sun, so that
Yeah.
John, if you haven't read it, then when you ask him, it was a slim margin, but which was
99
the
votes.
yeah.
That's plenty.
So it said, if you add this up, it was like just under 3,000 people voted.
Oh, that's terrible.
So
Well,
you had
they don't serve pizza at the polls. What's in it for me to vote?
well,
It affects your tax bill.
yeah. So
Well, but-
1,500 people voted yes, and 1,400 people voted no, and
That's a low turnout for an override.
well,
question.
it would be a debt exemption because it goes
Yeah.
away. But you have other people that are saying that they're going to review because they have a 120-day extension.
I'll bet you the town of Drake didn't text.
There was a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Yeah,
I don't
saw-
care. They didn't text the public. Colin Loisel, the guy who runs town of Tewksbury, texted the town. Today's the day to vote, and he got like 70% of the people to vote that day.
That's pretty cool. But anyway, it said that the town could apply for a 120-day extension that would allow the committee to make some adjustments, like changing the heating system to geothermal. But changing the plan to just doing building renovations, you won't get any reimbursements
That's
for
right.
that.
That's a problem. It's going to be
And
more
that's why
expensive. Right.
Yes, and it's only, as good as the foundation it's built on.
Right.
Give
So
me that again, Ev, because we're rejuvenating Lowell High School. Give me that again.
No, what you're doing at Lowell High School is different, because you've
So
torn
tell
stuff
me
down
what
and
you
you're
just
rebuilding.
tell me what you just said. That's my question.
It's just to do the maintenance, the big things in terms of the building renovations rather than new construction.
Right.
So there is some reimbursement for some renovations, but nothing close to what it would be for the
complete,
construction.
right.
So,
So what are they going to give Drake? 60%?
I don't know, but I could do the math.
What,
from
what,
what
do they,
it is I
what do
see
they
it.
give Chelmsford? Same size.
52.
I think the highest.
5-2?
I think that-
52%.
Yeah, I think that's the highest you can get now. It used to be in the low 60s, but it's less now.
Well, it is, depends on if
Yeah.
you're a municipality or if you're just in one of the towns.
Right.
But anyway, it just said that changing the plan to just building renovations rather than construction is not possible if the town hopes for reimbursement through the Mass School Building Authority. And the Mass School Building Authority was ready to provide $82.5 million in reimbursement for the cost of the construction.
Oh, boy.
And the estimates for renovation work, based on what's currently known, is $83 million. So, I mean, they basically screwed whichever way they're gonna
So
go.
if they renovate, it's gonna cost the taxpayer more than if the taxpayer
Had
had
something brand new.
opted for something brand new. But how many people that voted understood that?
Most people don't understand
Right,
a
that's the
lot
problem.
of stuff,
Yeah.
and that includes Chelmsford.
Oh, yeah.
You and I having gone through quite a number of
Yep,
votes
yep.
with regard to that. And the other thing is, they don't know how much lead paint is in there and asbestos, so when you start renovating, then you
It's
have all
always
those
more.
abatements.
It's always
That
more.
you have a lot of
Well, look at Lowell.
issues.
Lowell's a perfect example. I mean, whenever you tear into old buildings, you find all kinds of stuff that you weren't anticipating, and it has to be addressed.
And just like what happened in Chelmsford, is that you gotta start at square one, you gotta start all over again when you reject something like this, which is unfortunate,
Right,
so.
and now you're out of the cycle, and to your point, it's gonna take much longer to.
Right, so before you leave, was there anything that you had come up with that you'd like to talk about, or anything local or national, or anything along those lines? Or even just trivia?
I do want to mention about the 4th of July parade in Chelmsford. We had the last parade committee meeting Tuesday night, and the last meeting is the meeting where we determine the line of march, which units are going to be where in the parade and so forth.
The line of march.
The lineup, right, and
That's good. Cool.
I wasn't there, unfortunately, because I had another meeting I had to attend that was probably more important, right? I had to make that choice. The irony is that this meeting was held at my house, all right? So my wife got stuck with that, except she imported my oldest granddaughter to help her. And
A wise choice.
yeah, oh yeah, it was a very wise choice. And so that will happen. The events will kick off on July 3rd, which is the country fair is in the center of town. The police cordon off the roads and so on and so forth. The Lions Club sets up their booths and other organizations. It's always very well attended. The following day is the 4th, and that day starts off with a flag raising ceremony in the center of town. And the next scheduled event is the Carson Road Race, which is roughly a 2-mile run down North Road towards the center. And then at precisely 10 o'clock, the parade kicks off.
Yeah, Glenn registered for the
Where does it kick off from? The police station?
Roughly, it's McCarthy School.
that's the staging area.
Yeah, so that's a
So
stage.
right by the police department, that's
Right,
where they.
Right.
So when I was on the school committee and we would march in the parade, that's where I would go. I'm trying to think of how I got there. Did I get dropped off? Where did I have my car?
Let me ask you this: can either one of you tell me? Is it going to be live on YouTube?
Yes.
Good, because my friends my sister, she loves the parade. She's a Chelmsfordier,
And of course, they record it for
but
later.
she can't be in Chelmsford. She said, I'm going to miss the parade. I said, watch it on YouTube, and
Yeah.
she didn't know she could do that.
Yeah.
We've got over 100 units this year. It's usually between 75 and
Is it
85.
mostly political?
no. In fact, that is a contingent. My wife actually is on the parade committee as I am. Candy's in charge of the politicians. All right, so we know.
So can they wear vote for me?
Oh yeah, they
Well,
signs.
they're charged.
I'm asking Sam the question.
If you are a politician, and you want to march in the 4th of July parade, and this is an election year for you, okay, you are charged a fee of $1,000 if you want to march and advertise, okay?
Yep.
So Mike Barrett, for example, is running for state senate. If he wants to march in a parade and have his entourage with signs, he has to pay the parade committee $1,000.
Now, can I use my Prince Macaroni 18-wheeler and put "Vote for Sam Chase" on the side? And
That's
can I have as much signage as I want for this $1,000?
Yes, the answer is yes.
And you can have as many people as you want.
Yes.
Supporters walking with you.
I remember one year, Jimmy Arciero, he must have had 50 people, and it was unbelievable. But in the off-election year, so let's say Mike is reelected, which of course he will be, and next year Mike wants to march in a parade. Doesn't cost him anything because he's not running for anything, okay?
Can he have that tractor trailer that says "Vote for Sam Chase"?
No, you can't have the signage, okay? But you can march in the parade.
So
If
who's
you-
that guy? Who's that guy?
Well, no, they have a banner. It's in front of, you have banners that they allow in front of every area. Don't they allow those banners, like it said Arts and Technology Education Fund when we did that?
If you're a politician,
You can't have that
you
either?
cannot have the banner without paying the fee.
Oh.
But if you want to just march in the parade with no signage in an off year, you can do that without
I
paying the
haven't seen
fee.
anybody ever do
So if
that.
I want to march in the parade, and I am running, but I don't have no signage, do I have to pay?
You can march with the selectmen.
That's
Alright.
cool.
Yeah.
So I can still march for free.
Yes.
So when we had the 350th celebration, that was the first time that the school committee, as a full committee, walked, not because it was the 350th, but it was because all the members were asked if they would walk. Prior to that, you would have select individuals from the school committee walk with the select board, with the Board of Selectmen. And then since that point,
They've always marched.
they've always marched.
The select that year in the 250th, which was 20 years ago, the select board marched, but all prior select people marched if they wanted to, okay? And some of the ones who were kind of long in the tooth, they provided a flatbed for them to ride on.
Well, we also
So,
had, remember,
yeah.
the year that we drove the Mustang. You drove it. Remember when I was in the car, I broke my foot?
You and Barbara Scar.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara couldn't walk it because she has a lot of medical issues. And it would have been she wouldn't have been able to
Actually,
be in
I
it
did
at all.
that I did it, the first time I drove that Mustang was when Bill Dalton was the marshal.
Yeah, we put him on it.
And the problem was the night before, the alternator crapped out. And I had that Mustang in my garage, and I'm charging a battery, okay? And of course, it's July 3rd, and no place you can go to get another alternator or get it fixed. And so that means that the car was running off the battery, all right? And I remember I drove the car up to McCarthy. When I got there, I said to Brian Reedy, I said, listen, I said, I've got no alternator. I said, I've got some jumper cables here. I said, I need to jump off your truck and get this battery charged up, right? So we got the battery, so the battery's cooking for like 2 hours, and then it's time to pull off. We get in the car, and I said to Bill, I said, Bill, I don't know if we're gonna make it to the finish line here. I said, you may have to get out and push, okay? So we're driving down the parade march, and I'm watching that voltmeter, and it's going like this, and I'm thinking, we're not gonna make it. We made it to the reviewing stand. That thing is down here, and my house is not very far from the center of town. It's like maybe 3/10 of a mile. And so we went through the center. I said, let's go, and I drove down towards my house. I'm pulling into my driveway, and just as I pull in the driveway, bang, the ignition quits. That's
Wow.
it. Battery's done.
You made it.
That's a true story, right? And I said to Glenn afterwards, if we do this again, don't give me a car with a bum alternator on July 3rd,
Well,
right?
I don't think he
Yeah,
knew it.
Yeah, that was, no, he
So-
knew it when I called him that night. I said, And he was mad because actually it was a new alternator. He had just put one in. He
Yeah,
said,
he's very careful about
He said,
everything.
I can't believe it. I
Yeah,
said, well,
he's
you
very
got
careful.
a defective one. So with that story, I'm gonna go. True story, folks.
So to follow up on that, thank you
Hey,
very
thanks,
much,
Sam.
Sam.
Good luck
Wish you
today.
well. Talk to you later.
Am I gonna shut this off?
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, because Glenn, I don't think Glenn will be here until 7.
All
Because he was also up when I got home at 12:30.
Sam, you can take a coffee to go if you want.
Oh, no, that's all.
Oh, don't forget the cake.
I may have to, if I drink more coffee, then I'm gonna have to do what, so. All right, off the Leahy.
So anyway, Glenn Thoren should be in here either before or around 7 o'clock. If not, I'm going to be sitting here all by myself for the next hour and
that'll be fine.
20 minutes.
Oh,
We'll see just how
Evelyn,
much I can
everybody
be
knows
awake.
you're blessed with the gift of gab.
Yeah, but I'm also running like on less than 4 hours of sleep here. So when Sam was talking about the alternator, a few weeks back, my granddaughter had a problem, and it was like at 10:30 at night. My son called to see if he could help, and it was the alternator. But we had a Gulu, which is like a portable battery charger, and so he attached.
Those things are fabulous when they work.
So but it was an alternator issue. But the thing was is that as long as that battery is charged, you can run off the battery. The alternator just helps to recharge the battery. So what Glenn did was hooked up the Gulu to the battery, and they made it within I think he said like 500 or 600 feet of the house. And then my son went and got another Gulu so that they could pull it in the driveway. And yeah, it was the alternator, it wasn't the battery. So there's a lot of stories that are like that with regard to.
One of my Facebook buddies just put this. What a cutie
Oh,
pie.
she's adorable.
Oh my God. So that's Teresa Puga. That's from her Facebook page. What a beautiful kiddo. Back to you, Ev. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not going to put any of my grandchildren up on because we just had a 1-year-old
Oh,
birthday.
they're not beautiful? That's too bad.
Yeah, I can certainly forward it to you. So, and she's starting to walk. That's the youngest one. Who's
There's more. Oh my God. What a beautiful little girl. Yeah, she's so happy. Good for her. Bring back those days. No bills, no cares, just smiles. Go ahead.
innocence.
Yep.
So I had told Sam would talk a little bit more about the long-range weather thing, just so people will know, at least in the first hour. We can talk about it at the beginning of the second hour when we come back on with Lowell. But I had sent you this is text messages, and if you can't, I'll try to figure out how to get it to Messenger. And so there was.
You want it in AOL or what? No, whatever it's called. Facebook?
Yeah, I haven't got it. I didn't send it to Facebook. What I did was I sent it to you. That's why we were talking about Kevin Lemanowitz going to Channel 5 after retiring from Channel 25.
That's the rumor.
Yeah. And then Mike Wampum retiring from WCVB Weather. But if you go before that on the text messages, I mean, the first one, there is a video, and it does talk about, this is WCVB Channel 5, and it talks about Thursday bringing mostly sunny weather across Boston area in Massachusetts. But Friday is the day that it's going to have showers, thunderstorms, and that's in this area. If you're going someplace else, please check the appropriate zip code. And the weekend remains unsettled with chances of showers on Saturday and pop-up showers on Sunday. So, and then we have drier weather that returns to the skies. But when I took a look at the long-range map.
So here is your texts. So you want me to...
Yeah,
this
you
is
gotta
the
go
one about
back.
Mike
Keep going.
Wonkum.
Yep, keep going back. Huh. Did we go by it? It's that one that I wanted. Okay, so you've got it on there. I didn't know it was on there.
Which one? CBS News?
No. So that's interesting. See that one? I don't know what you've got because I can't tell.
WCVB.
Yeah. So what this does is it shows you the weather. And there is a map that's there, but I don't know if... Jeez.
Oh, wow. We got all this good stuff coming up now.
Okay, forget it. Isn't
that
it?
awful, huh? I'll hit the X like we read it.
There you go. So you can see the scattered showers and wind and different things on that particular map. But we had downpours a week ago and high winds.
Oh, now we got Morgan and Morgan.
You can get rid of that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
But
Watch
when,
it. Come
but-
to our webpage and watch commercials.
well, at least you can watch those commercials. There's some stuff I tap into and I'm like, oh my gosh, here he is.
Uh-oh.
Man of the hours.
Hey, Glenn.
Get your coffee. But anyway, long range forecast basically is it's going to get drier in the month of June. And with the rains that we had last week and some of the stuff recently, there's many communities that are coming within range of not being in a drought. But because in Massachusetts of the way that the laws work, when you see your levels, 1, 2, 3, that is according to what the laws and the regulations are of outdoor water usage. And it's up there regardless of whether or not we're drowning or we're not, just so people will conserve what it is they're doing with water. But the thing that always kills me is that people have their sprinklers on and it's raining outside.
I'd land the coffee and then wiggle into by the chairs, but you're a doctor. You can get away with not spilling anything.
He's usually pretty good about stuff.
Well, we got a lot of wiggle. We got way too many chairs.
So in the last 10 minutes, and we can also do this after the head of the hour. So welcome, Glenn, for
Thank you.
getting up really early after being up really early.
Well, you were up later than I was, so it wasn't even close.
Yeah, it was fun trying to sleep because of the bee stings and stuff. So when I was talking about the weather from last week on Thursday night and afternoon, it just poured. I mean, you would thought we had a swimming pool up at the lake. Glenn was in Chelmsford, and then, I came home. But, no, you were in Vermont. So
Correct.
he went to a soccer tournament with my youngest son and his oldest son. And it was definitely wet in Vermont, right?
It came down, when it rained, it just poured for 15 minutes, then another cloud came in. And so it was just downpours, and fortunately, most of what we had to do was between downpours. So that worked out pretty good, and it was just a fun time. When we're lucky enough to have one grandson, we have several actually, but this particular grandson is very gifted at sports. He's gifted at basketball, baseball, and now he loves soccer. And he's 8 years old, and he plays against 9 and 10-year-olds, and he gets beat up a lot because, unfortunately, he embarrasses the older kids by dribbling through them, dribbling around them, and scoring. So it's just fun to watch him play, and I would not want to miss it.
I have never met a grandfather that does not believe that his kid is the best player on the
No,
team.
you
I
can
can
watch
show
it.
you videos.
Oh no, I can assure you, my
I'll
kid's better
show
than
you
your kid.
videos.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
My
And
kid's
so
better
we
than your
also-
kid.
And our oldest grandson is 18. And
and he's better than everybody.
no,
No, there's 5 people in the state that might be faster than him,
yeah, and that's
but not a lot.
And by the
Okay,
way,
Glenn.
that's not skill,
I got
that's
ya.
time, because we're talking about track. And so he was in the state competition for track. We went to that track meet in,
Merrimack College.
yes, which is like near Andover. And of course, that evening or late afternoon when we went there, we had a weather delay.
It rained.
It rained because there was lightning in the area, and it was cold. But he did very well. There is no one and done law in Massachusetts that says Drake can only vote on this once. They can legally try again. Yes, they can.
Was
And
this a school vote?
Yes, they lost by 100 votes.
Yeah.
And they
not-
will like your firehouse out in Chisholm.
Yeah, they can vote again and
We
again
did.
and again.
Yeah, and they can modify it, but they have to make sure that everybody's in agreement because every time that they have a vote costs the town money. And then we also have the next one down who's 16, and he does hockey and he does. I don't know if he's
One
doing any
second, Ev.
swimming, and he does tennis,
You
and he's
can't-
doing very well. He came in second.
An override has to be a special election. It can't be with a regular election.
It can be anytime
Oh,
you
yeah.
would like it.
Okay.
anytime you vote.
So how is it going to cost the town extra money if every time there's an election in town, they're looking for a new school?
Right, but this was a special election. This wasn't during where they were electing other people. So if you, it just will cost extra money if you have extra elections. It costs money when you have a regular election.
All the infrastructure costs, getting the poll workers out there,
Do you
counting
pay
the
them?
ballots, police, everything else. So it's a little bit pricey to have a special election.
Okay, so.
I agree. It's kind of a waste of money. That a special election just to vote for one thing, a waste of money. People aren't coming.
They show up if there's money on it, that's for sure.
The insiders do. Most people don't know what's going on in town.
Well, what do they have? 8,000 votes on this election in Drake? It was not a small turnout.
I thought it was like 3,000. You had 1,500 that voted against it.
1,400,
1,400
so it's less than
voted against
3,000.
it.
Oh, okay.
And that's not very many people.
But the town should take a lesson from the manager in Tewksbury, Colin Loisel. He sent a text out. He got like 70% of the voters to vote.
I don't know how many voters there are in Drake. Let me find
Fantastic job.
out. So anyway, when we were talking about weather, so last Thursday, we had all of that downpour. You're away. I'm someplace else. But, we have people watching everything where we actually live. And I think it was on the Sunday morning. And my daughter-in-law and my son live across the street from us, and so they wanted to use some lawn equipment, and she wanted if she could borrow it, and I said, sure, and I told her where it was in the backyard, and then she texted me back with pictures. Did you know there's a tree down? So there, I think I sent you pictures, didn't I, John, of the tree? That would be in text.
It was a big tree.
Ev, sorry, I'm not gonna go scrolling around.
Anyway,
It was last week sometime. No, not there, not there. No.
Anyway, it was a huge tree.
You should put it on your Facebook page. And then it's right there.
And then I can send it
Could
to
be.
you if you want to know.
If it's on the Facebook page, I can just put your Facebook page up.
Anyway,
But
my
that
next door neighbor's yard, there was a sort of like a triple trunk maple tree, and unfortunately, this one was surrounded all the way up the tree by huge bittersweet vines. And at the bottom, apparently, it rotted out and it fell down, missed my shed, missed my wood pile, came down, hit the back deck, landed on the back patio. Broke a chair, broke a table, that's no big deal. But it was an enormous tree, so my daughter-in-law comes over, and she thought that we had blocked the access to the backyard by putting branches or something in the way, but then she realized there was a tree down. And I couldn't have dropped this tree better myself to miss everything important.
That was very lucky.
It was incredibly lucky. And I like dropping trees. I'm very good at that, so... this one just fell perfectly.
Are you going to replace this tree or no?
No. It's in my neighbor's yard. It's not my tree. So I'm going to have a couple of branches.
You got no shade loss?
No shade lost. Backyard is fully shaded. Grass is loving it. Plenty of water, enough sunshine to go grow crazily. So, and we didn't plant any grass in the backyard. It just showed up there from weather. And we let it grow, and it's grass and clover. It's very nice. But it's fully shaded, so we like that.
So I'm sending you just a few pictures, and then, because we have like 5 minutes, and you can put those up, because they're coming into your text, just so you know. And so it was a very interesting, obviously, to come home to something like that, but there was significant pictures.
Look at that. Missed the shed on the right, just brushed the deck on the left. And there's a little shed, you can't even see it behind you can see it sort of behind the tree. And the trunk of the tree, I've got an 18-inch chainsaw. The part you can't see, which is off to the right, the trunk of the tree is about 18 inches because it took every inch of the blade on my chainsaw to cut that. I got two chainsaws, one for lighter work and this bigger one.
What'd you do with it?
Well, we're going to split it up and burn it.
So
I
it's just
sent you a
laying there
different
waiting for more work to get done on it?
Yeah, there's a little bit more work. So everything that you see, you can see where there's like, well, actually it's cobblestones on the right side. Yeah, see, there's like a line of cobblestones. Everything from the cobblestones over to the house, that's all gone. So Glenn cut it all up, I had the tractor, and we stacked all the branches and everything on the tractor, and I hauled it out the back, because we have a whole acre, and got rid of those, and then all of the wood, the big stuff, we put in the bucket of the tractor and put it out by where we'll split it.
Will the town pick it up?
No, we don't
No,
need to.
no. We've got a
See,
lot
Lowell
of.
has yard waste every other week.
Yeah, but this would be unbelievable, the
That's
amount of
okay. You
yard
bag it
waste.
up, they'll take it, baby.
I had like 7
Too
or
bad you
8.
don't live in Lowell. Oh,
We
shucks.
have a compost pile in the backyard the size of a school bus, John. So everything that
Well,
gets.
Lowell, they take it every other week. Yard waste.
No,
Maybe it's every week. I have to ask my brother.
one of the reasons we bought this property is because we were back against woods. Behind the woods is a brook. Behind the brook is some other buildings where there used to be a drive-in movie theater. So we've got a nice view of trees when the leaves come out.
So I sent you the last one so you can see how much is gone. And there's even more than that that's gone, because I didn't take a picture after we did it, because I was too tired. So you can see that there's a lot of other debris. So I went and I got a rake, and this was on Tuesday. I went and I got a rake, and I started raking, but unfortunately I hit a bee's nest somewhere along the line.
Wasp nest was under the chair.
Yes, but there wasn't any wasps in the nest.
No, they were out doing their thing, and then they decided to come back, and their chair was gone.
Well, regardless of what it is, all that's gone, and I got stung like 7 or 8 times. My foot's swollen. It's really fun.
So this mess
sitting.
is gone.
Yeah, pretty much. It's almost all gone.
Sitting in a few piles waiting for a little bit more attention.
Yes, but at least we have the tractor, so it does go fast.
When you have the equipment, chainsaws, tractors, everything else, you get stuff done if you're physically able to start cranking stuff around. And Evelyn can throw a log as far as I can throw a log. She's really good with brush. Just tosses it
Now,
up. on
both
the
of you
track.
characters are in your mid-70s.
I'm 76.
That's, last time I checked, Glenn, that's mid-70s.
Oh, it's moving towards the end, right? Yes.
I'd round it up to 80 if I were you, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not so.
He says he's
Oh yeah,
pushing 80.
tell everybody I'm pushing 80, but not very hard.
I just tell people I'm 80, and they go, boy, you look great for 80.
Yeah. Well, that'd be nice. If they said that, I got a road race to run on July 4th, so I got to stay in some kind of shape.
Yeah, so Glenn's going to run the Chelmsford Road Race. Are we taking a break at 7?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I'm trying to kill the sound on Facebook so we don't broadcast our sound on Facebook.
Okay, and we'll be back. And I think Lowell joins us at that point, so you can see the other communities on the bottom of the screen. And if you have anything that you want to talk to us about, 978-808-8200.
UFOs, war reserves, quantum computing.
Welcome back. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host for the next approximately 59 minutes or less. Sam had to leave around 7:40 for a medical appointment, and he's doing okay. Glenn Thoren is with me. I never call you Dr. Glenn Thoren. But
No, you
anyway,
But he is Dr. Glenn Thoren.
yes, he has PhD in.
Applied and engineering physics.
Yes, so it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. So in the first hour, some of the stuff, we talked about all kinds of stuff, and part of it was weather. And so coming in this morning, it was like 62 degrees. It wasn't too bad last night either, and we had shown some pictures in the first hour because we had a tree come down in our backyard. And we've been working on that for a couple of days to try to get that cleared up. And I was telling some people that there were bees. They look like yellow jackets to me, but they could have been wasps.
They look like wasps to me. I get bit once.
Right. And then, yes, I don't see a picture, but you're eating
coming.
carrot cake.
Okay.
And there's a lot of real carrots in it, and there's cranberries, dried cranberries, walnuts, and almonds.
And it's extra sticky.
Yes, because I have a cinnamon glaze on it. But I did give you a napkin.
I gotta go wash my hands.
But the other thing I gave you was the quiche.
Don't get the
I'll
keyboard too
nuke that
sticky.
later.
I did. It was warm when I brought it in. Is
Nothing
it cold
worse
now?
than a sticky keyboard.
Yeah, that was 90 minutes ago.
Okay. So I also made him a quiche, and the quiche has chicken, mushrooms, onions, and you can't have broccoli. So I have red peppers. Oh, well, anyway, I usually put broccoli in it. You told me not to do that. And then I have feta cheese and
Took me
Cedar.
several weeks to learn how to spell
And-
quiche.
yeah, and cheddar cheese in it, and then I have the custard. And there's 6 eggs that went into that single quiche, the whole pie.
It's
plate,
not
but-
Keesh. That's
No,
not
it's a
how you
QU.
spell it.
Yeah, it's French. So anyway, I did do some baking with regard to that. Last week, I had done like a lemon cake that had apples and what else did I put in there? Walnuts, ground up walnuts in that with a lemon glaze, and that was very good too. But it's a whole lot of fun doing all of the baking. Another one an item as far as not cooking but food is that because there's been restrictions put out there, new regulations on all the food dyes, I think it's the blue and the brown M&Ms that won't be in the bags anymore.
I thought it was red. Blue and the red?
I thought it was brown.
Okay.
But anybody can look it up, and I'll look it up.
Does blue and red make brown? I'm just asking. I'm not sure about that.
I'll look it up. But anyway, we were talking about, quite a number of things in the first hour. And there's some new coins that are going to come out to commemorate the 250th
Oh, that'd be cool.
of the country.
I like coins.
Yep, and so there's quarters and stuff. So if anybody's interested in collectible stuff, there's that you can take a look at. One of the other ones, the articles I thought was interesting, was that there was an article out there on the states carrying debt, and Massachusetts is in the top 8 as far as carrying debt.
Yeah, we used to have a balanced, but I think when Baker was in, we had pretty much a balanced budget. We weren't heavily into debt, and something changed,
Yeah, they got spending.
And back to the coin part, there are some countries that actually know how to make coins, but I'm not sure that the United States is one of them. I mean, quarters are all right, but when they hit the die on the quarters, it doesn't raise the features of the quarters as much as it used to. So now they look kind of flat and washed out. In some countries, we had these small gold, silver, I won't call them silver because they're gold-looking dollar coins, and nobody used them. I mean, when they did use them, the gold color of them began to tarnish really quickly, and they looked terrible. So the question is, what does it take to make a durable, nice-looking coin like they used to make when they were made mostly out of silver? But I collected them when I was just a kid, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, because in change you could get Indian head pennies. All the silver was silver because it hadn't switched over to composite layers, these pancake layers where you got copper in the middle and zinc and so forth. The pennies up until 1984 were copper, and then they stopped making them out of copper because copper was getting so expensive that it would cost more to make a penny than a penny was worth.
I think the collecting coins is very interesting because you really can't do much currently. There are collectibles amongst the quarters that was for all the states because there was only so many made for certain numbers of states. And if people have collected them, then they're rarer than the other ones.
Yeah, they're still worth roughly a quarter.
Right.
You know.
But if you have a whole collection of them, it may be worth something. You just got to put it away for 30 years like everything else. Kind of like the stuff in my attic. So, I got collectibles, but when we bought the stuff, it wasn't collectible. I just forgot about it when I put it in the attic. But the article that I had, Massachusetts is sixth in the country with regard to debt. Connecticut is the top. Then you got New Jersey, Hawaii, Delaware, Illinois, and then Massachusetts.
Wait a minute. What do all these states have in common?
Well, there's more of them.
Oh, okay, but what do those have in common?
The
Every
same
one
thing.
that you mentioned.
Yes, except for Kentucky. They're pretty much all Democratic states, generally speaking. But the way that they determine it, because you always, when somebody gives you information like that, the first thing you say is, well, how did they determine debt? What is debt? How do you define the debt? And pretty much the debt has to do with decades of borrowing and underfunding as tax revenues have failed to keep pace with their state spending. But the other part had to do with the fact that they are not supporting their retirements. And we had that in Chelmsford.
And still do.
Right. And so at town meeting, many times we had transfers from the stabilization fund, right?
Well, what happened? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that a lot of the cities and towns and states would try to keep the salary of municipal employees low enough so that it was affordable and promise them a great retirement package. If you work so many years for the state government, you probably know the number on this better than I do. You can retire and get 80% of your highest salary, or the top 3 years of your salary, as your retirement benefit. And I think that might even be without taxes. So it'd be like 100% with taxes. That's a pretty good retirement benefit. In the private industry, you don't get that. It's a whole different ball game when you have to save your own money in an IRA, which is not a bad idea if you know how to invest it properly. But you don't get 100% of your salary in retirement until you pass on.
Right, but there's a sliding scale for pensions, and it's determined by the number of years you have in the average of the last 3 years.
So how many years do you have to be in government service in order to get those higher levels of pension?
Right, well, my understanding was, and I have to look it up, Glenn, is that you don't get 100%, you'd get like 80% or something like that.
80%,
But
yeah,
you
but-
have to be there 40 to 50 years. So,
Well, 40 is a lot.
because we had a lot of teachers that would max it out because they would stay in those positions for 40 plus years. And so you have those pension liabilities that's out there, but it's very hard to fund those without raising taxes.
Right, comes
And
right
it's-
out of the town's budget, as if they're still working, but they're gone.
Right, and so some of it becomes negotiations in your local unions. When I was on the school committee, in 1998, one of the things that the teacher union wanted was to include all of the extra duties that they had in their salary, so that would count towards their retirement in money, in finances. So if they had a club, or they were a coach, or they ran an after-school program, or whatever it might be, they wanted to have that because they're being paid by the municipality, so why wouldn't that be part of the calculation? And so at some point after that, not necessarily that particular year, we did incorporate that into the contracts for the teachers union. I don't know whether or not that still is there. I'm assuming it is, because it's benign in comparison to everything else that's
Which is
out there.
why the cities and towns can't afford it, because it just adds cost to the budget with no employee benefits. I mean, no employees working for the town.
Right, and we also talked about Social Security, where you couldn't double dip, at least in Massachusetts. And then the state legislature, my understanding was that they passed it so you could. So if you had the right number of credits, that qualified you for Social Security, then you would be able to access that besides your pension. Like if you had a private pension in a company, you can still tap into the Social Security system. So that was implemented because a lot of times people worked other jobs, but they had to accumulate the right credits with regard to that. So we had discussion on Social Security as to whether or not it's ever going to run out of money. If they hadn't tapped it or borrowed against it, there'd be plenty of money.
Exactly. If they had kept it in Social Security instead of using it for all the other government spending programs, it would be a lot bigger than it is now. And if it was privately run, it would be even bigger. So the government likes to take your money, keep it, and probably give it to somebody else.
So there's a lot of stuff going on nationally and then locally. So we have this election. We briefly touched on it this morning with Sam before you got here. The election that's in New York City, and you were following different things like that. Do you have some
Sadly, I
views?
was, yes.
Well, not sadly you were following. Sadly that of what the results were. But even so, that being stated, we're not really.
Well, nobody was elected, right? It was just a primary.
Yeah, but in New York, you know what it is. Same thing, because there's no competition in a highly Democrat precinct like that. Once you
So
win
there's
the
no
primary-
Republican running?
I think there's Republicans running in some of them, but
Probably,
I don't
but
know which ones they
they're
are.
so heavily Democrat.
The media, why aren't they covering that Republican?
They won't.
It's just everybody in certain precincts, not everybody,
There's no
but
excuse for it.
the vast majority vote Democrat.
No, there's no.
Because they always have, and they always will, and the voter turnout isn't that great anyway. So they just go look for a deed, put the check mark in, go home.
Well, same question here. How would you know it's voting day?
Say that again?
How would you know it's voting day?
You have to pay attention. People don't pay attention to voting day. That's why you have lower voter turnout. That's why you had all the signs in the center of town. Vote today, or vote Tuesday, or vote
We
whatever
have
the
stuff.
thing is.
No, Evelyn, you're a retired school maker as a school committee woman in Chelmsford for many years. How long has civics been out of the classroom?
Okay, so the way,
Long time.
we'll qualify that because in this thing, civics as a separate course hasn't probably been in the classroom for 30 years,
Yeah, a long
25
time.
or 30 years.
So the most of the public has no idea how the government operates.
So what happens
Correct.
is what they've done is they've taken that course and pieces of that have gone into other courses. So if you have American history, they teach a certain amount of that. They always teach about what the three branches of government are and what they do and the Constitution. So you have different history courses that will teach that, and there are other separate courses which
It's not being taught, Evelyn. Don't kid yourself. Civics is not being taught.
not as a civics course.
So
even though-
how else would you learn how the government runs?
Because when I took U.S. history, I didn't have civics,
In
and that was over 50 years
2026,
ago.
2026, how do the children in the Chelmsford school
Would have to be in their history classes. When I was in high school, we didn't have civics either. It was in our history classes. And in college, certainly there was a lot more of that because I took classes on the American presidency and stuff like that. But you get it from your history classes. But the problem is, John, I don't know who did this when, but it's fairly recent, is taking standardized testing out of the schools. The SATs, the Regents exams. Massachusetts passed a law that they would take standardized testing out of the schools, and it's been a disaster. You see these television shows, occasionally they'll go to a beach on, some vacation day and start interviewing students that are high school or high school graduates and ask them, who do we fight in the Revolutionary War? And they don't know. I mean, how do you get out of high school not knowing who was in the Revolutionary War? It's insane.
Yes, because U.S. history is a required course everywhere. Just like you need 4 years of English, 3 years of science, a year of a language or two. I mean, there's different courses that are required for graduation across the board in this country.
Okay, let me ask you a more difficult question.
We should have asked.
What's your forecast, and I'll start off with Glenn, and we'll go to Evelyn, of when this will become a communist country?
It'll never become
No,
a,
not you, Ev. I want Glenn first.
it'll never become a communist country, but we're going to go through some, I don't want to, let me call it earthquakes in the interim, because people are voting for, these people in New York who will say, well, we're going to abolish ICE, We're going to open up the prisons.
So you
There's
say
no
never.
reason for
Moving on to Evelyn. Evelyn, when do you think we're going to become this country?
Well, Glenn and I have had conversations about this, and I don't think that we'll ever become a complete communist country. I think that you're going to have sections of it. My fear is it will happen within the next 10 years. That's my fear, because that's about how long it took to get to this point.
It's going to happen. The philosophy is going to happen in certain parts of the country. If you go out to Indiana, Ohio, not worried, because it's not going to happen there. New York City, where a lot of people
Yes, it
get
will.
government support. Yeah, we like government support. Give me more government support.
Right, so we're having a discussion on it, but like I said, it took about 10 years for us to get to this point. It may take another 10 years to get to another point. And it's never, unless they do away with the Constitution, and they do away with
Who's the they?
whoever it is that doesn't want the country to be the way it is. They're critical of everything to deal with America.
The
okay?
people who
Because
understand how the United States operates
they don't like it.
will change things
Yeah, they don't like it.
to their liking. The government is here for the health of the government. The government's not here to help you. The government's here to help themselves.
Right, and the government doesn't
And
run very
most of the
efficiently.
public doesn't believe that.
Right, and they also, well, they're very skeptical because of all the fraud, but the fraud is happening like everywhere, but it's generally focused on a lot of the democratic cities and a lot of immigration, the ones that come in and they know how to lie, they know how to get money because that's what they did in their countries. Now, one of the interesting things, if we want to continue this, and I know Glenn's been watching the World Cup, is that there's been discussions about the fact people coming in from other countries, they're having a ball here. They love it. They're out there. They're partying. They're taking the parties from one city to another. There's been interviews with the women that have come with them, and they think that this country is great because people actually talk to them and say hi, and in the other countries they don't. I mean, there's
The biggest problem, they're being fed a lot of propaganda over in Europe about how bad America is. That the people are angry, that it's dirty and all this sort of thing. They come over here and they're having the time of their lives. They don't want to go back. And they see the stores and the scenery in America and how big it is. The entire continent and countries in Europe could fit in Texas and there'd still be space left over. And so they marvel at the magnificence of the United States in ways you don't hear from our own citizens, because they have a perspective that they're coming from Europe and they're seeing this country that has all these things going on that they don't get in Europe. They don't have porches on their houses in Europe. They don't have stores like we have. People go crazy in the Bass Pro Shop. Never seen anything like it in their
They don't
life.
have the elbow room we have.
Or the
In
infrastructure, or the commerce that we have, or the different, they say going from state to state to state is almost like going from country to country to country in Europe, but they speak the same language and all these new things they're finding out. It's unbelievable how the perspective of Europeans is changing because now they're here.
Now, the other
That's
part,
a good thing.
The other part that was interesting is I don't know that it's been on any local channels. When the Japanese did their stint with the World Cup, the fans stayed afterwards and cleaned up all of the stadium. When you had the
It's cultural. That's who they are.
I don't think it was the Irish. I think it was the Scots that stayed in Rhode Island when they left because it was cheaper to stay there. Whatever the organization was, gave $10,000 towards the hospital, the parks, whatever it was, because they had such a wonderful time in the
The
state.
Scots were in Massachusetts too.
Well, yeah, but they
Fenway
didn't
Park.
do that. But I'm just saying that when they were going back and forth, the lodging was expensive, and so you had them. The big thing is you had. I mean, I thought it was great when you had the Norwegians, and they were like everywhere. And they're rowing, and I mean, I thought that was hilarious.
Everybody's got their thing.
Right, and then you have those from Scotland that had all of those cones putting on everything, on all the statues, and in Boston on the ducks, and I mean, it's really. I thought it was a very interesting time.
And the Germans fell in love with the song by John Denver, Country Roads. And so even the Germans at their meets are singing the John Denver song.
Right, and there, I thought it was the Scots that was singing ABBA. And so you had, there was so much enthusiasm. I think that they had a group of them that went to one of the Red Sox games or something in Boston. They started singing ABBA. It was like the World Series because of the way that they were so excited
fun.
about, yeah,
They're
and they were
having fun.
enjoying
The
themselves.
Scots are running around singing "No Scotland, No Party." So I say these guys are here to have a good time.
Yeah.
And they are. They're marvel at, they go into a Walmart and they've never seen anything like it. They go into a supermarket and they've never seen anything like it. In England and Europe, the supermarkets are completely different. They're very, very small, fewer items, fewer shelves.
They have limited space, is
Yeah.
what John would say, because I mean, you had those countries that were established way before anything we thought of happening here. So there's a lot of positive things out there. It's just too bad that the media doesn't pick up on the positive things besides the negative, because I think there's more positives than negatives. They just want people to feel bad, and if people feel bad, then that affects elections.
It's just a perfect time to have the World Cup here, so the rest of the world can come and visit America and find out that everything they've been told in their own countries about the awfulness of America is a complete lie.
Well, I think it also started at the end of World War II. And there was an article that I read about when they brought the German officers and stuff over here. I don't know if they were putting them on trial here or they were going to go to prison here. And they had been told all kinds of negative things. And this is during World War II about the United
There are
States.
a lot of prison camps for Germans in New England.
So they had different interviews and stories and stuff and books, obviously, that came out after World War II. And we're talking the late 40s. And they came over here and they were shocked. They thought that they were coming to, as Glenn said before, a dirty, filthy, disorganized country. And they get here and they're looking around at the buildings and the people and the flora and the fauna and all the other stuff. And they were like shocked at what they saw. And
Sorry, it's your favorite time.
okay, well, we'll be back shortly.
Well, there's only a few. I'm only doing what we have to do. Today, Tara Hung's having
Do
a
as much as
party
you can.
tomorrow night at the Sampo Meese Restaurant, 450 Chelmsford Street. Hope to see you over there. It starts at 6 o'clock, 450 Chelmsford Street, Sampo Meese Restaurant for support of Tara Hung. This coming up this weekend is a fantastic cookout at the East End Club. Hot dogs, hamburgers, sausages, salads. Be a great time. It's over at 12 West 5th Street. Any Tom, Dick, or Mary can go, and they'd love to see you there. Come hang out, listen to music, and it's going to be all done by 9 p.m. So get over there and have a good time. It starts at 5 o'clock at the East End Club, which is 12 West 5th Street in lovely Lowell. That's over in Centerville. And then we have this data forum. And Lowell, City of Lowell put this out. I copied it off of Facebook. They didn't send it to me, but that's where I got it from. But a lot of the community is interested in this. They're going to have a data center public forum on Monday, next Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. up at the Butler School. The Butler School, the address is 1140 Gorham Street. So if you're interested in a wonderful data center, be up there and get yourself learned on the stuff. So today's the 25th. At the Lowell Senior Center, you only got to be 60. We don't care where you live. You can live in Timbuktu. It's roast pork loin today for $2. If you don't have the $2, we'll feed you for free. Back to you two lovebirds. Thank you.
Anyway, I was looking for the other articles that I had sent to Sam and.
Oh yeah, the ballot questions coming up in the fall. I'm really ticked off at what they're doing with those ballot questions. Really, very upsetting. First of all, we had the ballot question to lower the income tax over a few years from 5% to 4%. And what happens? The Attorney General, who works for the governor, put some language in the way the description of the ballot question is presented, and then a group went to the Supreme Judicial Court and said, well, this isn't a clear representation of the ballot question, so they pull the ballot question. What a coincidence. The governor has said we don't want to reduce taxes because then we can't fund all the programs we have going on in Massachusetts. And what happens? The Attorney General screws up the language so the ballot question gets pulled, which in my engineering way of looking at things, the Supreme Judicial Court should have said, look, fix the language, and this is what it should say, and leave the question alone, because that's the way it should have gone on the ballot. And the other thing is, just to show you how the Democrats, beyond gerrymandering and everything else, are trying to stuff the state into a forever liberal position, they want to take away the primaries, so you have no parties, and have what's called a jungle primary. So the top two vote getters go to the final election, and in most places the top two vote getters are going to be Democrats, so it'll just block out the Republican Party in a lot of areas in the state. So it's just this jungle primary where the parties go away and they can't have their own primary. It's ridiculous. So some of these ballot questions are.
Well, why should we have election when no one gets elected? Why should the government continue to pay for an election when no one gets elected?
Somebody gets elected. What do you mean no one gets elected?
The
In a
primaries.
jungle primary, who gets elected, Glenn?
The jungle primary picks up the top two candidates.
No, but who gets elected? Why should the government pay for that brawl?
They pay for primaries when there are political parties.
I couldn't care less. Why are they paying for primaries? They don't pay for the Elks election, do they?
That's the way the system works, is that the people get to nominate in the primaries who they would prefer to have represent their party. But what the Democrats want to do is erase parties. They want to make sure that they have this jungle primary process where they have no more parties, no more party primary elections. It's whoever gets the most votes.
Okay.
And then they go to the final election. So it's sort of a primary, but it's not.
Well, using your scenario,
That's what we do
you
in
go
California.
out to dinner, you sit there in the cheapest restaurant in town or the nicest restaurant in town, whatever you want to go to, and the waitress or the waiter comes over and you say, I'll have a steak. Evelyn says, I'll have one French fry. And the guy comes back in 20 minutes and says, what would you like? I said, no, we ordered 20 minutes ago. No, that was the preliminary. That was the preliminary.
I'm not grasping the equivalency, but
It's a waste of time. No one gets elected.
how do the parties determine who they want to
They
represent?
do it in other states all by themselves. They call them caucuses.
Caucuses is another way to do it.
And the government doesn't pay for those.
Correct. So I have no objection to that approach, because the party gets to decide who is going to represent them by representatives in the caucuses
Of
that have been
themselves.
appointed by
This-
the people.
This thing that's coming along there, the jungle primary, it's a natural evolution where you have most of the citizenry in this country are not members of any party. So why should most of the citizens of this country who are not members of your party, which is Democrat or Republican?
Independent, or what do we call it in this state?
Unenrolled.
Unenrolled, stupid description.
I think you have red underwear, Glenn. I
Unenrolled,
really think Glenn's got Republican underwear on.
unenrolled in a party, not unenrolled
You
as a
got
voting.
Trump underpants on.
I have a conservative point of view, and that generally aligns more with the Republican Party, but I voted for Democrats. I voted for independents, so it's up to me who I want to vote for. The Democrat Party is swinging so far left right now that JFK probably couldn't be a Democrat today, because he was actually a reasonably smart, fiscally conservative person.
That's when most people stayed married. That's how long ago JFK was. When most people stayed married.
But there's a lot of stuff that you can put in there, and when you talk about people's views, they always have evolved. Usually the older you get more conservative. You don't get liberal. There's statistics out there on that, and if you need to, I'll get you the articles that supports my statement. So that usually is what happens.
What's the difference between paying your own bills and wanting the government to pay your bills for you with
through
other
somebody
people's
else-
money?
yes. And so one of the things that I've stated here many, many times is most of my positions have not changed in 50 years. Doesn't mean because I haven't looked at it, doesn't mean that I'm just stuck in the mud and I can't move forward or backward. It means that with all of the research that I've done and all the reading that I've done, I haven't changed much in the direction that I go politically or even spiritually. So there's a lot of pieces to that.
There's some fundamental principles, and some of the fundamental principles we taught our boys, and hopefully they're teaching their kids, and I check frequently, like I can ask an 8-year-old, who did we fight in the Revolutionary War, and I'll get the right answer, an 8-year-old. But if they've got the right principles, that you should not plan to live off the government giving you other people's money, that's a good principle. If you earn it, you can spend it. But to expect other people who earn the money to give the government money, then the government gives you money and takes their cut, which is usually very large, that's not right.
So I sent you, I think it is on Facebook, and I can resend it, John, to you, which sort of explains a little bit about this socialist viewpoint. And I'm sure it's on Facebook. So let me just go there, because what Glenn said, jogged my memory of some different things.
Socialism never works. It never works. Look at Cuba.
Well, if you take a look at the South American countries, all their elections, their people that are getting elected are conservatives instead of.
Well, Colombia just elected a conservative.
Yeah, so maybe it might be safe enough there for my daughter-in-law to go. So, John, on Facebook, we have, it's the second one from the bottom.
Oh, F.
It's easy. There's only 2 there.
I know, but you sent me 67. Okay,
Yes, but
I'll go look at your text. No worries.
No, it's not a text. This is on Facebook Messenger. So on Facebook.
Okay, I'm gonna look. I'm looking at
He's
Messenger.
making them work too hard.
Well, that's okay. The first one we already
but-
talked about, and it had to do with the 250th anniversary for the U.S. Mint launching coin redesigns, specifically for that time frame.
All right, so we're gonna scroll through the text here.
So you got to get to you.
Oh, went right by him.
Yeah, I know. There you are. There's John McDonough.
Yeah,
Not
that's text to me. I want to see Evelyn Thoren's text.
Oh, I'm texting you stuff. You want to see mine?
No, if I go to John McDonough, I don't think they'll be there. I have to go to Evelyn Thoren.
All right, that's fine, because a lot of stuff I sent to you only.
Yeah.
So you can go to me, wherever I might be. There I am. Okay, so I can't see that.
All the way to the top.
It keeps going and going and going.
Oh,
He's got to look at the dates.
Yep.
I mean, there you have October.
1025?
2024.
1024?
What do you?
2024.
I'm showing you what's up here, kid.
Yeah, but that's not on
How
my
about you send it
feed.
to me again?
All right, I'll send it to you again.
That's even better.
Okay.
Well, anyway, talking about unidentified flying objects.
So you want to talk about UFOs while I'm doing this?
As they release,
Except that this is.
as they release more and more of the files, it should become pretty obvious to everybody that there's stuff going on out there that is not of our doing.
So but why does the government lie to us for so many years? And nobody's asking the media. The media doesn't ask that question.
Well, I
And
think
what are you
it's
lying
more like
about
they're
today?
not lying to that they're not telling us. That's the problem. And now
No,
that
they said they didn't exist, Glenn.
Well,
They said they didn't exist.
I followed
There's
the
no truth to that.
Blue Book project from long time ago.
Who's this guy who's separating his mustache with his glasses?
Okay, so this is a professor. This has been on Facebook many times.
He looks
before.
like that's a professorial look.
This is an economics professor at a Texas college, and he had a class full of liberal students who claimed that socialism worked. So he ran an experiment to teach them a lesson. So what was that experiment? What he did was he said that he made a statement to his class. He had never failed a single student before, but had recently failed an entire class. And that class insisted, and this is the time frame, Obama's socialism worked, and nobody would be poor and nobody would be rich. A great equalizer. And so they had an experiment. And he said, all grades will be averaged. Everybody receives the same grade. So nobody's going to fail and nobody gets an A. And so after the first test, the grades were averaged, and everybody got a B. And the students that studied hard, they were pissed off, and the students that didn't, they were ecstatic. The second test average was a D. Nobody was happy. When the third test rolled around, everybody failed. Why? Because the people that worked for it said, why are we doing this for all the other people that aren't working for anything? So to their great surprise, everybody failed. And so he came to some conclusions. One of them was you can't legislate the poor into prosperity by legislating the wealthy out of prosperity. What one person receives without working for another person must work for without receiving. And the government cannot give to anybody anything that the government does not first take from somebody else. You can't multiply wealth by dividing it. And when half of the people get the idea they don't have to work because the other half is going to take care of them, then the other half gets the idea that it's no good to work because somebody else is going to get what they work for. And that's the beginning of the end of a nation.
Now,
Pretty
meanwhile,
simple.
and you don't think that's happening now?
It
is.
Come on, how many people?
That's the problem.
How many kids stayed back in Chelmsford school system?
We're talking
Zero.
about money.
I'm talking about everybody gets promoted, and you wonder why the kids don't want to study.
Well, there was an article
There's
also.
kids who get
you bring
promoted
that
who
up all
didn't
the
even
time.
go to class, Evelyn.
They're not going to get into college if they just take school for a
They
ride.
don't care, but you learn in the 4th grade, 5th grade, that kid who never shows up, who gives the teacher the finger, got promoted. And I worked my butt off, and I got promoted.
Yeah, but that's
Where's he going to end up? Where are you going to end up? It's
right.
very different.
There are other consequences to their actions, and that view is somewhat limited. But when you're talking about education, here we are back on that subject again, is that there are articles out there for Massachusetts that basically we used to be really high in education. We have dropped slightly simply because of COVID and the kids not going back, and then because of the vote on the MCAS, but they're reviewing that. But the big problem is they're not preventative with children that have any type of learning disability or have some kind of disability, because they wait until they're almost failing before they provide the right services. Or you have parents and advocates that they have to pay for trying to get those programs for their students.
What percentage of the overall student population fall into that category?
Well, because it's a moving target and they have not.
Roughly.
I don't know. I would say 8%, 10%. You have kids that have dyslexia, and unless the teacher picks up on that.
There are problems, but I'm equally worried about the 90% who are not putting in the effort. Now, I know in our family, we sort of insist that everybody puts in the effort to learn what they're supposed to learn, but some parents don't do that, and some school systems don't encourage that. So you can't do remedial education for everybody that's not putting in the effort.
But it's not putting in the effort. It's being able to see if you have a student that is struggling to learn.
Yeah, I know you're talking about a 10%, which is not insignificant, but there's still a 90% of the students out there that need, additional, should I say, teaching skills to get them where they should be. I just heard driving over here that the best way to learn how to read is to write cursive.
Yes, there are a lot of studies out there on that. I agree. There's a lot of studies out there because of the stimulation to the brain.
Right.
And there's a lot more discussion about that because
and running
kids
it
aren't
through
doing
your
that.
hand and onto the paper, they're finding out that the learning is less effective if you're learning it off a screen versus learning it off what you write down on a piece of paper, taking notes and learning what your notes say.
Right, and there's also articles out there where there's school systems, and everybody can do their own research on where they are, not necessarily all in Massachusetts, where they're using YouTube and AI to teach kids versus what happens with the interaction with an actual body.
And this may shock you, but I think it was California that's eliminating the screen time for kids up through the 2nd grade. No screen time in school. No videos in school.
So in Chelmsford, we had Dr. Lang on last week, and we did ask him about that. And every time he comes on, John asks him the same questions, and the answers are pretty much still the same. And they do not have devices that they have all the time on the elementary school level. They do have the Chromebooks so that they can access their homework and any other messages coming out of the classroom. But they do not have all of that in the classroom, and they're not doing the YouTubes and stuff on the elementary school level.
Good.
So
And
that's
no-
in Chelmsford.
And no cell phones in the classrooms.
Well, that's another piece
that's
that
insane.
they have, but sometimes having cell phones is not necessarily the problem, but you have to be trained on how to use it appropriately when you're in
Well,
different
since we have
situations.
children globally on their cell phones instantly as they get out of school, why don't we utilize them to help them learn?
Cell phones?
I
Cell
think that's-
phones have more information than the library has.
Well, yeah, the way it is right now, but that's not what they use them for.
So
So
why
they
don't we
use-
train the children, hey, instead of looking at videos on how to pick your toenails, why don't you check this out?
The only way you're gonna be able to do that is you block out for whatever portion of the day is appropriate, anything that's not educational, that doesn't tie back into lessons from school. Somebody's got to, be the administrator of what goes into those cell phones that the
What's
kids
to
are.
prevent the teacher from sending the children in class a text? Go to this YouTube page and you're going to learn more about this.
Yeah, but they don't. That's
I
not,
understand, but I think we're missing an opportunity that all the kids are playing on their cell phone as soon as they leave school.
right.
I think we should utilize that tool.
Well, we should, but how do you make that happen, John?
You send a text to all the kids. Say, hey, look, during homework tonight, go to my text and go watch these YouTubes. I think you'll find them helpful.
And there'll be a quiz on it in the morning.
I don't care how you want to blend it in, Glenn, but I think it's a very good start to using your cell phone to help educate yourself.
I'm sure there are some ways to do it, and you can do some research on cell phones, but kids being kids and adults being adults, when they get on the cell phone, the people that put in other types of content that are intended to capture you and get you to continue to pull down the content that is not educational, but it's entertaining. So the use of the cell phones becomes an entertainment mechanism rather than an education mechanism.
If this is next week's stuff,
Yes, just so people know.
it's next week's
Oh,
stuff.
I like that.
Yes, but June 27th is before Thursday.
Why are they doing it in June? What the hell's the matter with them?
So
I
the
don't know.
people will come.
I don't know, I'm only telling you that because
I
I'm
get a kick out
here.
of, at least Lowell celebrates on the real day.
Yes, but I saw that and I said, might as well put it up in case
And they
anybody's
they
interested.
got no Chelmsford stuff. You guys
There's no fireworks in Chelmsford.
There used to be, and we could sit in our front yard and see them, but they were at the Elks. And now it's far too dangerous to have things exploding with hot shrapnel and stuff like that coming down in the community.
Well,
so the rest of these communities up on screen are crazy, right?
no, but they probably are putting it out over water.
No, they're not.
So I'm going to send you something else.
Lowell shoots them off from the Lasha ballpark, which I think is silly. They should pick the highest point in Lowell. Either go over to Belvedere on Fairmount Street, or go over to Christian Hill by the water tower and shoot them off over there.
So that somebody can see them.
So we can see them in the whole region. Say, wow, Lowell has a oh no. Instead we pick, let's go down, where's the lowest point? Down by the river. Okay, good. Let's go down on the river and shoot them off.
Yeah, so where I grew up in Arlington, there is a park by the Brackett School that you can see all of Boston, all of Cambridge, all of Somerville from the hill in this particular park. The view is spectacular. So growing up, we used to go there and we could watch fireworks from 4 or 5 different locations from that hill in Arlington, overlooking all of Boston, because
But
Arlington is
it's tiny, though, Glenn.
600 feet high.
So
But what they do is they take a camera and they put a big projection screen up so that they magnify the fireworks so that people up there on this, 15, 20-foot screen can see the fireworks from the camera.
So I sent this one to John because there's a lot of information out there on this SAVE Act. And if you take a look at this particular piece that came off of Facebook, all right.
It's too blurry to blow up, Ev. Sorry, can't blow it up.
Well, anyway, what I wanted to do, so if you leave it up there, I'll just explain what it is. And for people to look up, the SAVE system isn't new, and it was created by Congress, and there is a timeline. And the timeline I thought was very interesting because in 1986, Congress,
Generally, what is this slide about?
this is about the fact that the SAVE Act isn't new. That
This-
it has
the
been
what
cr-
is not new?
The SAVE Act, SAVE, about people voting in elections that they want to pass.
How did that slide into the conversation, Glenn?
Well, because we're going to run out of time, and there's different things I just wanted to cover to get
Okay,
Glenn's
I want to get
perspective
this in
on it.
before the end of the show. Please proceed. So.
Right, so currently, you have the Department of Homeland Security that is, the SAVE Act is administered by. But what is currently on the docket is that Trump wants to expand it and integrate additional data sources for voter identification purposes. So this particular piece, if you want to look at it, will explain it better, because part of one of the problems that's out there is false information with regard to this particular act. And it talks about the system and why it is and the whole thing, and it goes back into 1986. So it's not new, they're just expanding some of the information that's out there. And so it does say what the lawsuit is, that people don't want it, what it isn't about. So it's not about the citizen verification, that's the original SAVE part. And then what is it about? The lawsuit that's out there that goes against this focuses on privacy laws, data sharing, administrative procedures, federal authority, and whether or not the EHS actually followed it when they're expanding SAFE. So they're just out there in the broader area of it.
What you're looking at right here is the Hampton Beach Bridge under construction. To the right is the current bridge. So you can still get into Hampton Beach. But yet they have to raise it when the sailboats come by and stuff. This new bridge, they got these cement pillars that are putting up there. Magnificent job, gigantic project. And they say it'll be done in 200 days. 200 days from today it'll be done.
What? 200 days for a bridge?
200 days, this will be
They
done.
started last fall.
Wow.
That's New
Is
Hampshire.
that in New Hampshire?
Yeah,
Yes.
That'd take 20 years in Massachusetts.
we know that for the Rock. All right, you're going to comment on the SAVE thing.
Part of the problem, people argue against trying to identify appropriately the people that have the right to vote, which are American citizens only. And they say, well, illegal aliens haven't been a major factor in any of the elections. Well, that's not the point. The point is they shouldn't be any factor, because every time somebody who shouldn't have the right to vote votes, it takes a vote away from you. It doesn't matter whether it's one vote, 100 votes, 10,000 votes, it's still wrong. So when you look at, John, one of the things that's been in the news lately, primarily due to the Trump administration, is fraud and abuse of our tax dollars. So much fraud is going on every time you investigate these scams like the Somalis in Minnesota and what's going on in Massachusetts. Why do you think that the legislature is blocking the audit so violently that they don't
Because
want?
they've paid off sexual abuse. On your screen, this is
That may
when
be one part
the
of it, yeah.
Hampton Beach Bridge will be done February 2nd, 2027. So they just want to turn the page back to
That's
you
not
guys.
bad.
Right, and did you ask how long it's going to take to do the Rock Bridge currently, their timeline?
There's no forecast. This is a forecast that, on this slide from Facebook, it says there's 222 days. Then I asked Google, when is 222 days from now?
Yep, gotcha.
So, Glenn, we only know what the media tells us. And the Somalis, whatever the Somalis are doing, we only know what the media tells us.
Well, we also know what they've been indicted for and what they've been put in prison for.
Well, when I got to Egypt, I was most surprised. I didn't see anybody living in a tent. Nobody in Egypt lives in a tent. But when you look at the American media, they put it out that Egypt, they're living in tents. No, they're not.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that. In Los Angeles, they're living in tents. That's a whole different. But the point I wanted to make was that apparently our legislature has a lot to hide, because anybody that doesn't want to get audited, and a regular audit, no, we'll let you audit us, but we'll give you the stuff we want you to look at, not what the voters had requested. So when you have a cover-up of this magnitude that the legislature is even trying to pass new laws that says you can't audit us even if you vote to audit us, and the Supreme Judicial Court or any court can't look at any disputes because that's going to be in the legislation. You know they're hiding something. People are going to, lose their careers, going to lose their jobs because something is not going well in state government, and that's what they want to try and cover up. Otherwise, if you've got nothing to hide,
Glenn, it's all
get
sexual.
audited.
Glenn, it's all sexual. It's all sexual. If
Well, I don't know
if
that.
it gets out in public that you, Mr. State Rep, pinched the behind of one of the secretaries at the State House, if that gets public, now your wife's going to be, she already knows, but now your wife's going to say, now everybody knows.
I
It's
think
just
there's
gonna cause a lot of-
much deeper, much broader money
no,
fraud
it's all
going on.
sex.
I think it,
And when you look at the SNAP program, John, the federal government said, we're giving you federal money to help with these programs for the needy people in Massachusetts, the SNAP program. We need to know that everybody is indeed eligible to get those benefits. So would you please send us a list of recipients so that we can, see if that cross-references with people that are, paying taxes and doing other things that would make them ineligible. The state will not give the federal government the list of the recipients that federal money is going to and state money is going to for welfare purposes. That's insane. If you're supporting people, you should at least make sure they're qualified to get the support, but the state doesn't want to do that. Now, for the legislature to prevent the auditor from seeing where they're spending millions of dollars. Now, I just brought my consultant friend on a contract for $1 million, and nobody knows what they're doing.
This is the New York City. 1,000 cops got sworn in yesterday in New York.
Looks like the Songus Arena.
Gigantic place. Congratulations, New York City Police. 1,000 new cops got sworn in yesterday. Back to Glenn.
So the New York government wants to defund the police. They want to abolish ICE. They want to, no more prisons. These communists that were just, went through the primary. There's no more prisons. Release the rapists. Release the murderers. And no deportations. I mean, you listen to what they say, and what country is this? Yeah, but that's a direction of the Democrat Party. That's why Hakeem Jeffries is having a conniption fit.
Crime would just go away if we had painful execution. Painful execution. Just
Pay-per-view, John?
No, put it on regular TV.
Pay-per-view, right?
No, painful execution. This business of, we're going to stop the video before this criminal runs over this woman. No, you have to show the pain that happens when you run somebody over.
But why is there any crime in the first place? Isn't it illegal?
We should execute people who murder people. Why? Okay, you're in jail forever. Kill the guy. Goodbye. Send him back to his maker. That's my feeling. I know there are people out in the audience that have some relatives in their family that are in jail for the rest of their life, and I'm sorry that I'm saying they should die.
That takes a serious crime to get that kind of punishment, a serious crime.
You have to try to go after a politician.
What?
You have to try to kill a politician.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe so.
That's the only way you're going to get executed.
They've tried to kill Trump 4 times now already.
Yeah, and those guys are on their way to the gallows.
Some of them are going to go away for a while.
They're going to their gallows.
Yep.
Yeah, some of it you can only hope. So, we have like 4 minutes left, if that. The time goes by real quickly, especially when you have such lively topics. In a couple of minutes, I know that there's questions out there, Glenn, about why aren't gas prices lowering faster because the strait's open.
Well, because it takes a while to convert
Glad
oil.
you brought that up, Evelyn. Glad you brought that up. Go ahead.
It takes a while to convert oil to gasoline, and there's a certain cost with this conversion. Now, I believe that the margin on that conversion from oil to gasoline is a little bit high right now. It's going to come down. So it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take a couple of months for the prices to decrease. Now, gas prices along with oil prices and everything else are speculative. The price of oil is not the price of oil instantly, but they're looking at the price of oil in the future. So if the actual cost for a barrel of oil is like $50, right now it's going to be $70 charged for that oil because they're not sure about the price in the future. So you're paying too much. So the gasoline prices generally come down about 25 to 30 cents a gallon for every $10 the price of a barrel of oil comes down. So if the price of oil gets down into the $60 to $55 range, which is a reasonable range, right now it's like 69, so it's below $70. The price of gasoline is going to be in the low $3 fairly quickly.
Some
What
prices
I want to say about that
have come
is,
down.
for the short term, at least through July, only buy the gas you need. Because I always fill it up. No. Get a quarter of a tank,
Right.
half tank, because you can go buy it tomorrow and it's going to be 10 cents cheaper.
Probably right, John. You're
So
probably right.
don't
Same thing with home heating oil. If your tanks are a little bit low right now,
let it ride.
you don't need to fill up your home heating oil right now. Wait a while.
Hey, tomorrow City Life we got Freddie Who's coming in, Cliff Krieger, and Eileen Del Rossi. That's tomorrow City Life, and then Evelyn sent me about the Parley Farm. Where's the Parley Farm?
That's on Pine Hill Road in Chelmsford.
In Chelmsford, okay.
So if
What
you're
are they offering?
local produce, as you can see,
I
there's
could
some
get
flowers
tomatoes
there. When they're in season,
Gotcha.
yes. They also have strawberries. They pick their own strawberries
And blueberries.
and
yeah.
blueberries and eggs. So they have their
cool.
own chickens. And so all of that stuff is there in the fall.
They're
Obviously,
very,
they have
very
pumpkins.
Good. Very, very good.
And so we've been highlighting some local businesses in Chelmsford.
What's this drink, Ev?
I have no idea.
But it looks good.
There's
There's
the
the strawberries.
Yep,
So Parley Farm. Good.
yep, but that's right off of Route 110. So if you come out of the center of Chelmsford, you go to the light and take a right. And there's that little
Heading
farm
towards
stand that's
Westford,
there.
yeah.
Get any lemonade stands?
Not as far as I
In
know.
Lowell, we're loading up with lemonade. The kids are grabbing the lemonade out there.
You
They
have a
know
story
there's
about
money
that,
in
but we're
it.
running out of time.
There's
Oh,
money
yeah,
in
well, I'll take about 15 seconds. There were some kids on Route 110, girls that were in an area where you really couldn't pull your car over, and they had a small lemonade stand, but they're making lemonade. They also said, if you want blueberries in it, we'll put blueberries in it. If you want strawberries, we'll put some strawberries in your lemonade. They're three little, they're probably 10 years old, 11, 12. And I went over there and I gave them a huge tip.
Good thinking.
But the lemonade was pretty good. So for a $2 glass of lemonade, I gave them 10.
The sweetest story I have is down in Happy Hampton at the condo place. Some of the grandkids, they put together a lemonade stand, and all the cops and firemen showed up.
Good for them.
It was really a nice parade.
It was
of
good
them.
lemonade too, I bet.
Yep, it was a really nice.
We
nice
don't
thing
sell
to
the
see.
cheap stuff,
Anyway, so thank you very much for getting up extra special early on very limited amount of sleep and being with us this morning to share your perspectives. And hopefully you'll come back sooner than later.
Well, always a pleasure. Evelyn, I'm surprised you didn't
Yeah.
fall asleep during the show. You didn't even have a coffee.
She had like
Oh, no, I did.
3 hours sleep
I
last
did this
night.
Oh, you
for
do have
the
a
second
coffee.
hour. I had a
Good
half a cup.
coffee, John. Good
Yes,
coffee.
I mean, I was surprised that I got up also, but hey, this is the way life is, and things are going to get busy. So I hope everybody stays safe. Watch your weather, because you never know how things may pop up, even though it may not be on the forecast. Because
See you